Hello, if you have just joined us and you are just joining us now, welcome to this webinar. We're talking about teenagers and emotions and 5 things that you really need to understand. Super exciting. I'm going to share my screen and here we go. I'm going to present as well. That's what I do. So we're all recording. Yes, we're recording and we are presenting as well. All right, so this is called 5 things mums need to know to manage an emotional teenager to actually help your child and yourself. All right, so yes, I have run this webinar before. Yes, it is lots of fun. Yes, lots of people get a lot out of it. And I've had quite a few mums have aha moments and go, oh, that's really huge. That's something that I don't know. Therefore, I'd love to be able to help my children with it. This is really important. Okay, so I've had quite a few of those comments as I've done this webinar before. Welcome. There's some people who are just going to be watching this via replay, I think. So that's why we're recording it anyway. And it will also be available for you guys as well who are here live. You'll get an email with the link. It's going to be limited time replay. All right, for anyone who wants to go back and check something out. First of all, I haven't even introduced myself. My name is Miranda Hodge. I am a qualified primary school teacher and parenting coach, mum of 3. I've got 3 little people and they are 8, 4 and 2. And this is my husband, Ross. As you can see us making a beautiful funny face right there. All of our photos are like that pretty much. Pretty funny. We have 2 dogs and a cat. We love camping. We love having fun. We love being at the beach. We love going to parks. And I've started to really love gardening. So that's pretty old people, but really good fun. Okay, what do I do? Okay, so I run online courses and classes, and I also do coaching sessions for mums to get intentional. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing a little bit later on about one of my courses, but I've got recorded classes on my website that you can purchase on specific things like whining, how to get your kids to listen, and the other really popular one is time out or time in, how to do that with your small child, or how, you know, that my techniques for doing that. These are some of the different things. You can get a free interview call if you want to, you know, find out more about what I do, if you've got a specific issue that you'd really like to work through with some help. All right, so that's pretty much what I do. If you haven't already, jump on now, search for my Confident Authentic Mamas Facebook group. I was just going to look at that right there, but there's a picture of it there. Yay me, I did that before. If you can search Confident Authentic Mamas on Facebook now, go there and apply, what do you call it? You know, try to join. Go on there and join, and I will approve your membership, you know, probably after this webinar, because I'm not going to be doing that right now. But you can, I do regular training every week. I do a live every week. I do a different subject to do with kids. It's somewhere you can pop in and pop out, ask questions, and I try to answer the questions of the people in the group. So I think there's about 185 people in there or something so far. So if you would like to jump in there, you can access those regular training and resources. All right. And sometimes I pop up, I haven't for a while, but I will probably soon pop up some free printable stuff. And that's where I share, you know, any deals that I've got going on and those sorts of things. Okay. So if you can jump on and join that, let's get ready to get going. The first thing that I'm going to be sharing is actually really quickly, actually why did I start doing this? Why am I so interested in parenting? Why am I even doing this stuff, this online stuff? When I was first a parent, when my first child was 2 or 3, we started hitting the emotional moments. And I was like, wow, I'm a teacher. I'm experienced in early childhood. I've got a youth development diploma or certificate. I've got all this teaching experience. Like, what is going on here? And I still can't work out how to manage my small child. What is going on? Because for me, it just made me really frustrated. My child was pushing my buttons and I'm going, wait, I shouldn't be reacting to this. How can I do this? How can I do this with connection for my child, with my child, respect for my child, and help them build respect for me, but still manage their emotions in a really healthy way that doesn't let their emotions take over the whole family. Okay, because I see this a lot with families that they are trying to allow for their child's emotions, but then they just end up just dancing around their child's emotions. And it's like, well, that's not actually teaching them how to manage it either. That's sort of the one end of things, and the other end of things is not allowing them to do anything emotional. Okay, so I needed to find something in the middle, And so far it's working for us. So I am sharing that with parents. Basically, I'm really, really passionate about it, because the difference you can make in your child's life in this way by helping them with this stuff is insanely amazing. You can help them just flip their life around from what it would be to what it is now, what it can be. Okay, so basically that's my why, because I know that lots of mums struggle with things just like I did. And yeah, basically that's why I'm doing it. Grab a pen and paper if you want to write anything down, because it's helpful. Usually when I do a class, I've got workbooks that you can print off. I do them printable because people from all around the world jump onto these things. So it's just easier if you can just print it yourself. Okay. I haven't done that for this one. Just grab yourself a pen and paper if you want to write anything down. And you might like to put the numbers 1 to 5 on it, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going into the 5 different tips that I've got here. And yeah, let's get ready to really, really get into it. Yes, I have a cup of tea, because that's what you do at this time of night. Okay, let's get going. Number one on my tips is a child's emotions are part of normal human experience. Okay, a kid's emotions are part of normal human experience. Okay, emotions are part of us and we need them. If we don't have emotions, what is the point? Okay, living without emotion would be like living without color. That's a little quote that I've popped there. Yes, it would be, because if we didn't have color, the world would not have vibrancy. The world wouldn't have life. The world wouldn't have that real, just soul, wouldn't have soul. Okay, so if you watch shows like, The Block, or any of those ones any of those renovation shows where they talk about adding soul to a space, by soul, they basically mean it makes you feel, it brings that emotion in, it brings that emotional connection in, basically. And if we didn't have that as humans, that would not be ideal. It'd be terrible, because you wouldn't feel love, you wouldn't feel any of those really, really wonderful emotions. Okay, so it is normal to have emotions, and we shouldn't be punishing our kids for feeling. All right, so emotions, what makes all those videos that we watch, like on Netflix, if anyone else watches them, any interaction between lovers or parents and kids, that's what makes it even worth it. Okay, so it is so important that kids understand that emotions are okay, because they're normal. It's actually fine to have emotions. It's just about learning how to manage them, and that's where we come in. So here we go. There's a statement, or a quote, sorry, from Eric Barker in his article, How to Raise Happy Kids. I'm just reading it because it is actually a quote. Emotional intelligence is a skill, not an inborn trait. Thinking kids will just naturally come to understand their own emotions, let alone those of others, doesn't set them up for success. So we have to teach our kids emotional intelligence. They're not going to learn it by themselves. They might learn some of it, but they're going to take longer and they're going to struggle more to do it. Okay, so some people are naturally more emotionally intelligent, but it's a bit like learning maths or learning any of that stuff. If you've got your parents supporting you, helping you, building your understanding, backing up what the teacher's doing, all those things, that brings so much more understanding and so much more, I suppose, well-rounded view of emotional intelligence. So that's what we're trying to give our kids. That's what I'm giving my kids. That's what I see some people giving their kids. And then it's really obvious sometimes that other people may not be doing as much. Sorry, I've just got a message. Might not be doing quite as much with their children. And that's okay. Like, not everyone is skilled in this area, which is why I do my job, right? This is why we are actually here. All right. So next, talking about emotions, smell. If you can smell, like, I think it's called olfactory, your nose nasal system. If you can smell the salty air at the beach, then you can bring those memories. Those memories come back to life, right? Basically, if you smell something that smells like a certain thing, you smell something that smells like your grandma's house, you immediately get the emotions that come with that, or often get the emotions that come with that, the warm, fuzzy feeling if it's your grandma, hopefully. Or you smell pizza and you go, yes, that is exactly, sorry, I've got another participant coming in. That is exactly what, we want to be doing. That's exactly what we want. Sorry, someone is just coming in. Where's the waiting room? Excuse me for 2 seconds. I don't know where to go to the waiting room. I'm just going to stop the share for 2 shakes. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Participants. Nope, that person must have gone out. Okay. Sorry, person. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen again. Anyway, back to this. Sorry, guys. Anyway, let's keep going. So these sorts of things, it brings back the emotions that go with them, basically. So emotions make life a richer, better experience. So basically, for number 1, emotions are normal. It's all about how we express them and how we allow our children and teach our children to do so. If our kids aren't given the opportunity to experience emotions and learn how to manage them, we are neglecting a very important step in helping them grow. Like, it's not even just an important step, it's actually a really, really important step. Yep. So there you go. Let's go. Higher emotional, I'm just changing my script. Higher emotional intelligence and greater parental understanding of how to respond emotionally provides the child with the opportunity for better relationships, better connections, better reactions, better understanding, often better grades, better friendships and social interaction. And would you have a better life if you had a better all those things? Yeah, I think so. Okay, that's what I think. I've seen all this stuff. Kids can have better grades, for instance, because they are able to not have to worry so much about the emotional stuff that's going on around them. Okay, so basically that's how they can have better grades. I'm a teacher. I know I've seen this in action. Okay, the kids who actually have better emotional intelligence and their parents understand how to interact with them better means that they're more practiced at it, and it means that they are better at not being distracted by the kids who maybe might be more distracting or might do things to make them angry. Okay, there you go. Okay, so if we didn't have to go through the hard and more difficult emotions, we wouldn't appreciate the better emotions nearly as much. Okay, so the better emotions meaning happiness, being happy, joy, those sorts of ones, those sorts of relaxed. Is that an emotion? If we didn't have to go through the hard ones, we wouldn't appreciate the highs, basically, which is just the same as in life. Like life, that's how it is. Basically, okay, so number two means have a drink of a sip of water. Yes, this is water. So this is my favorite one. Emotions are needed socially. Others can tell how we're feeling through our emotions and the way we express them. Part of being a human is interacting with others, and this involves emotions. So it is just so important. Emotions are just so important to social, well, that's why it's called social emotional, right? Social emotional learning is all one thing. You need your emotions in order to be able to interact well socially. Okay, a really, really good example of this is talking about kids who are on the autism spectrum. So kids who may have ASD or may exhibit some traits of ASD often struggle with social cues and empathy, right? Sometimes kids with ADHD can struggle with social cues and empathy. So basically they do not understand facial cues, which is hard. Can you imagine not being able to read what someone else was saying with their face, like with their body language, not actually having the capacity or understanding how to do that? Well, what we're trying to do is actually help our kids learn how to do this, because for everyone it is really, really important. Okay, so one of the things that we do with children who struggle in this area, any child that struggles in that area, it requires, and this is so true for small children, it's the same. Okay, it requires more specific teaching of emotional cues. So things like your face. Okay, things like that person sounds really angry in their voice. What could you think about that? What, if their voice sounds like this, grrr, they might be angry. And that might mean you need to stay away from that person. Can you see how that is quite significant? If in the schoolyard or even at daycare or in kindy, any of those places, if you have got a child who's holding a stick with an angry face, A child who's not reading that angry face cue, who's not reading that emotional cue or any of the body language that child is expressing, might think they want to play sword fights. So they go get a stick themselves and they go, yeah, let's play. And then the child pokes them with the stick because that child's actually quite angry. And it's something that child 2 has not really observed, has not been able to take on board. And so they've put themselves in danger as a result of that. Okay, so understanding, I mean, that's an example, but you can imagine there's millions of examples to do with that. Okay, so understanding emotions is so important. Okay, and yes, I'm passionate about it because it is really important. So kids can learn a certain amount in daycare. They can learn a certain amount at school. Of course, our kids are taught this stuff at school. Yes, but it's so much better if you can teach them when they're younger because they start to learn it younger. And then they have all those other things we went over before. They have the opportunity for better grades, the opportunity for better friendships, the opportunity to actually understand when other people maybe want to say no or say yes and therefore not step over their boundaries. All those things are super important to start teaching early. Okay, and I taught them early with all my kids. We have taught them early with all of our children. And it's so important. Like our 2-year-old, he's 2.5, is learning a lot of this stuff already, and he's 2. Like it's helping so much with the future development of our children by teaching them this stuff. Okay. Let's see. There you go. Teaching your kid about social emotions early helps them learn so much more effectively. La 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 la. I'll let you read the rest of that. Quickly, teaching our kids how to interact effectively in teams is also a huge part of this. So when I went through uni for teaching and all those, even before that, working in groups is a huge part of learning. So when you're at school, when you're even in kinder, working in groups, sometimes with people you don't like, okay, is so common that our kids really need to know how to do it. They need to know how to understand, how to work together. Of course, they're not going to do it that well when they're small children, but we've got to start somewhere. You can't start when they're 10. You have to start somewhere. Okay, so this sets them up so much better for being able to do some of those things. My quick question for you, and you can answer it in the chat if you want, or just think about it yourself, is how do you feel you're currently handling this quite big responsibility? Do you feel like this is something that you're doing really well? Do you feel like this is something that you might want to get better at? Do you feel like this is something that I really don't know where to even start when it comes to emotional learning? Like, what even do I teach my children? Okay, we're going to share a little bit more about this as we go along, but how do you feel about it? I'm going to take 2 seconds. If you want to answer it in the chat, feel free, or you can just think about it yourself. Okay, how do you feel about how you're currently handling this quite big responsibility? Excuse me. All right, let's keep going. I might just go back for that because I've got a little bit more to say about that. As a teacher, it can be easy to tell which students are a little bit more in touch with their emotional intelligence. Often which ones have actually been taught something about how to manage their emotions. It's not always obvious, but quality of life at home can interfere with things. You know, there's lots and lots of things, you know, trauma, there's lots and lots of things that can actually, you know, impact this. But teaching them about emotions early is so important. So here's an example. For instance, child in a classroom, child A, is being poked and annoyed by child B who sits next to them. Okay, or in kinder, someone's poking someone else doesn't like it. If they've been taught, if the first child who's been poked has been taught anything about emotional awareness, emotional intelligence, emotional development, and thinking about what's going on, then they are actually able to go, okay, instead of just getting angry, instead of just starting to go into that fight or flight mechanism, instead of actually just starting to let that person aggravate me, I have got a much greater ability to go, that person's annoying me. I'm calm enough. I have the emotional intelligence skills, the emotional skills to actually stay just a little bit calmer and do something like go and tell the teacher, or do something like say, please don't do that to me now, or do something that is actually going to help fix the situation instead of spiral it into, I'm punching you on the nose, sort of those sorts of things. Okay. So it means that the child can stop, think about things, and then start to react. And sometimes that means that, like, of course, I don't get right every time. Of course, your kid might bop someone on the nose. Of course, if someone else is annoying them, like, they're never going to get it right every time because they're not actually perfect. And us adults aren't perfect either. But if you can give them so many of these skills, it's really, really helpful. Let's go on to the next one. That one's my favorite one, as you can probably tell. Okay, number 3, if you've got your little chart, I don't even know what time it is. Oh, yeah. If you've got your little chart, then your little writing sheet, then we are up to number 3. Emotions are temporary or temporary. This was revolutionary to me when I first learned this. I was like, oh my goodness, of course. So emotions are temporary. Happiness or sadness are both temporary. That's why success doesn't bring happiness, or money doesn't bring happiness, because happiness is not a permanent state of being. Happiness is actually a feeling that comes and then it goes, and then something else happens and that feeling might come back, or it might be another feeling that comes in, or your house might get flooded and suddenly you're overwhelmed and sad, or something else happens, like I don't even know what, and then fear comes in instead. So our emotions are very temporary and very changeable. Okay, even those who would classify themselves as happy people, yes, we have people who are more predisposed to happiness, and people who are more predisposed to being sadder people. That is just seems to be, I think it's genetically determined a little bit. Some of it is. Okay, but emotions basically move through us constantly. Okay, so they're ever changing. Basically, they can change upon your situation. And they often change very quickly. So if you've got a toddler or a teenager or a 4-year-old, or basically anybody, emotions can change like that. And in toddlers, it's really interesting. Toddlers and 3-year-olds, they sort of blur the lines between. It's really interesting how quickly they flick. Okay, hands up if you have had a child who's gone, I asked for peanut butter in my sandwich and you put peanut butter in there. How dare you do that? I'm now going to flip. That happened to me the other day. I'm like, oh, it's actually what you asked for. You asked for peanut butter and I gave you peanut butter, and now you're flipping out because I gave, anyway, whatever. So their emotions can just really flip like that. And they're suddenly going from relaxed, calm state to a really angry one. You're just like, wow. Okay, but this is really interesting. But do you know what causes your emotions to do that? In your daily life, do you have times where you go, whoa, this is just so overwhelming, or wow, I get really, really angry every time that happens. Like every time that happens, wow, I flip out. Or every time this happens, I feel really sad afterwards. Why is that? Why do I feel like that? Like, how does that even, what's going on with that? So for me, if you've watched any of my stuff, you'll probably have known, you might have heard what happens with me when I get really, really overwhelmed. I get angry and I'm like, I can't deal with all of this. So for me, it was, and I first realized that this was the case, the consistent case, when I had baby number 3 in a sling, number 1 and number 2 sitting up at the bench trying to do cooking with me, and me just totally flipping out. And I was being safe, obviously, but I was just angry, so angry. And I'm like, whoa, what the? And it happened a few times. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Why am I so angry? And I worked out it wasn't born out of anger, it was born out of overwhelm. And so as I was able to, and it took a long time, but as I was able to replace that situation with a little bit more calm, and maybe one child at a time, or maybe one and the baby in the sling at that point, because it was only able to be that, it meant that I was able to manage that situation much better. Okay, and I don't usually don't get in that situation very often, although saying that, I wasn't super angry tonight, but I was a bit flustered because I had them all there again tonight. They're all a bit older, which helps. So anyway, that's basically, if you can identify what makes you change, makes your own emotions change, then it's very, very helpful, because you can actually then start to manage the situation. You can sit back and go, oh, that's really handy. Okay, so now I know that when this happens, this happens. Okay, when I hear this song on the radio, it reminds me of my grandpa who passed away and I really miss him, so that's why I get sad afterwards. or when I do, you know, when I go and feed the dogs and I spill stuff everywhere, it makes me feel like a failure. So picking the things up all over the place just makes me angry and frustrated, and I just get so annoyed because the kids don't do it fast enough with me. And like that sort of stuff, the stuff that happens regularly, is the stuff that talks about the temporary nature of emotions, but it's also the stuff of, that's the crux of the matter. If you can change something in that, in how you react or how you manage it, that's actually how you can make a change in your own emotions. Okay. And this isn't even talking about your kids. This is talking about you. Okay. So there you go. Emotions are temporary. We can see, that's the other part of this. You can actually see those emotions coming. You can see them coming because I know that that's what's going to happen. If tomorrow I ask everyone to come sit up at the bench with me and I'm not quite ready to do anything, I know that's going to come at me. And that's when I then go, oh, yes, yep, I actually really want to change this. I really want to change this. The day after that, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this instead. All right. That demonstrates basically that they're temporary because we know they can come and we know that they can go, because I'm not super angry right now. I'm not angry at all right now. That's what I mean. It sort of shows that they're temporary. Here we go. Oh, this is pretty much of what I was just talking about. But metacognitive is the ability to think about our thinking, or metacognition is the ability to think about our thinking. Okay, that's a really big word, but it basically means think about our thinking. Okay, and it's really important. Okay, it's important to be able to do this from an emotional level too. In fact, that's actually what emotional intelligence is. It gives you the base ability to see change. Okay, so you can sit back from something and go, wow, I react like this every time, like we've just talked about, but look back logically, and I've put critically, I don't mean with criticism, but with understanding, like, okay, what could I change? How could I change it? How am I going to do that? And that's what I do with parents as a coach. Actually go, all right, what are we going to do? How can you do it? What can you do differently next time? And then next time I talk to you, okay, what did you do differently? Is it working? Is it not working? What can we try again? What situations is it working in and which ones isn't it working in? These sorts of things are what we can do together. Understanding emotions, basically, as sort of finishing off this point, understanding emotions are temporary means that we can see that they start and finish, and you can start to work with how, when, why, and other influencing factors. Okay, which means you can pull it apart, put it back together a bit more how you want to. Is it hard work? Yes, it completely is hard work. Does it require you to basically just step up at a certain point? Yes, it does. But if you've thought about it logically and critically and gone, yes, this is why, let's try and bring up in something new in a certain point with a lot more understanding, and it should be able to help us change just that little bit. All right. This little one, I just pop in there because I just love this. I was so impressed when I found this out. It was a while ago, but that's okay. Doctors have discovered that children whose parents focus on the positive in them and the world from early on, so focusing on the positive, are often more mentally equipped to see the positive in their surroundings, even when their circumstances are difficult. Okay, so if you focus on the positive with your kids, focus on what's positive in your kids and around your kids in the world, that literally builds more neural pathways in your brain to see the positive. If you gear your brain to see the positive and you gear your kids' brain to see the positive, of course they're going to have negative days, of course, but you are predisposing them to think more positively than they would have otherwise. Okay, I just thought that was awesome. I popped it in there because I love it. That's what I want to do. That's everything. Okay, some people are naturally pessimistic to a degree, obviously. Okay, because that's just life. Again, genetically predisposed sometimes, but it's really important and really, really good. This is in here because I'm going to tell you a little bit about my emotionally equipped child course in a few minutes. I thought I'd just quickly pop in do you like my little logo? Loving my logo. I really love it. I painted it and then got someone to digitize it. It's so the coolest. I love it. Anyway, we're going to have a quick chat about that in just a couple of minutes. Number 4 is emotions need to be processed. Okay, we are moving through. We've got 20 minutes left or so. Emotions need to be processed. Processing emotions is hugely important. Okay, giving our kids the tools and the emotional intelligence to know when to use them is part of our job as parents. So, how does your child process emotion at their age and stage? All right, have a little think about it. Processing emotions involves accepting that emotion or accepting it. Whereas often with hard or painful emotions, we can resist them and push hard against them. Right? You think about sadness or depression, or well, that is sadness, or fear. We're often going, no, 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 no. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel that. I do not want to feel that. And that includes grief and things like that. Okay. Or anger. Anger is really huge. So if you see people who are really angry at their parents, like, and I'm talking about adults who are angry at their parents, and even kids when parents are separated and stuff, that can happen. Holding on to that anger is really not ideal. Okay. And of course, we'd all do it from time to time, bits and pieces, but learning how to process, and I'm not here to say that I know everything about processing, because obviously everyone is a work in progress, but holding it in can cause us to actually hold that emotion in our body. I went to the osteo and she was like, "You've been really stressed." And I'm like, "Oh, this is a while ago." "Wow, really?" "Yeah, yes, I have been." She's like, "I can feel it in your body. Your body's holding the stress." I'm like, "Oh, great, help." That's great. So anyway, the stress and anxiety and internal chaos this can cause in our bodies. We all know about having a swirly tummy when we're feeling anxious. Okay, that's a clear connection between thinking and feeling. Okay, so all of that is really, really unhelpful. Yeah, there's lots and lots of ways that this can actually come about. Okay, there's some real fears, there's some real just sadness that lots of people have to work through. But how do we actually help our child process these emotions? So when your kid's having a moment, they're having an angry moment or a sad moment or a whatever moment, coming in and actually telling them how to feel is not that productive. Like, you should be feeling happy. Well, that's great. It's like telling me when I'm stressed, you should be feeling happy. Well, or when people say, "Gee, you should be happy. You've got, a great husband and you've got a great da 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 da." Well, yeah, of course. But that's not changing how people feel. That's actually just telling them something pretty much totally irrelevant. You're like, "You should feel like this." Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Do you see how that's different? Coming in to your child who is feeling angry and saying, "You should be happy, get up and do what you need to do." Doing that stuff actually is negating the value of the feeling. So it's actually telling them, "Oops, I shouldn't be having this feeling." That was back in number 1. Emotions are normal. Okay. That's actually telling them you shouldn't be having this feeling and you need to snap out of it and keep going. Well, there maybe is a point for telling them to snap out of it at some point, quite a bit further down the road. But listening to the feeling and understanding that it needs to be processed is very, very important. So we need to, this is for parents and children, adults and children, we need to give ourselves, or to learn to give ourselves, grace and space. So give yourself grace, which means just give yourself, time, basically, and the allowing yourself to feel, excuse me, and space. So give yourself space to, feel those things and to think about those things. And sometimes you have to intentionally think about, why is this so painful, and actually work with it work through it. And allowing them to exist even when they are painful. So going, okay, I feel sad, or I'm sad because, I have grief because someone passed away, or I have, I've missed out on da 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 da. And after COVID, this is really important too. Going, you know what? I missed out on so much. Or people who haven't met their grandchild yet, or grandkids who haven't met their, grandparents yet, or, being in one country when a parent's passed away in another. I mean, that's just insanely hard. All of that stuff, you have to let your emotions actually be. Okay. So, and I'm not here to say that I'm some epic, amazing person, but I am really good at teaching people how to help their kids process their emotions. So how does your kid process emotions at their age and stage? So some tools. What do we want here? We actually want some tools that are helpful. Okay. So tools that might be helpful are journaling. Yep. This might mean kids can be talking and you can be writing for them. If you've got a 3-year-old, pretty sure they're not writing that much yet. They could be, but pretty sure they're not. So if this means that, I mean, they can draw a picture. You can say, can you just draw how you felt about that? Or draw what you thought about, you know, when so-and-so had lots of yelling today, especially if your child was really negatively impacted by that. Another thing is they can be talking and you can write down for them. So them talking and saying, I didn't like when, you know, Johnny hit Freddie today at playgroup. It made me scared. Not hard, but it does take intentionality. And also you have to be, if you're doing that, you're just writing down what they're saying. You're not being judgmental. Using feelings language. So this is another tool, feelings language, and we do a lot of it in the emotionally equipped child. So feelings language like sad, angry, scared, you know, happy, those sorts of things. Yes, we talk about just the words. We talk about how we feel, how we actually feel. Okay, because sometimes our kids can't necessarily connect a word with a feeling because they might not know the practicalities of what that feels like. This is why I've got things like tools in here, because understanding that emotions need to be processed doesn't necessarily give you guys the actual tools to do it. So we're talking about things like journaling, teaching your kids feelings language, physical activity. Physical activity is amazing for if kids are angry. Okay, I've used this so many times with my kids when they're angry. We're walking to the back door together, and quite often it's stomping, but we're going on the trampoline. We are, and it doesn't have to be we, but you know, you can come outside, let's ride up and down 5 times. Let's you know, let's do some jumping. Okay, in one of my challenges, we do something, it's called the sausage roll, and you basically wrap yourself and or your child or both of you up in a doona, and obviously safely so they can breathe and everything, but you roll around on the floor and bang into each other, basically gently, you know, but having quite a bit of fun. And a little bit of that sort of semi-rough play can be amazing for kids. They will really, really love it. And it also helps them move some of that adrenaline that's come from the anger. The last tool that's really, really helpful, and it's not so much a tool as it sort of sets your kids up really, really well, this particular one, being open about how we feel sometimes as parents on a bit of a shallow level. Like, I'm not talking about burdening your child. I'm talking about going, you know what? I feel really sad because or I feel grumpy today because I didn't get much sleep last night. Sorry about that. Or just using that and using your own experience and putting it into language for your kids is really, really helpful. Okay, next. The fear of feeling these hard emotions can actually be minimized by teaching our kids it's okay not to feel okay all the time. It's okay to process. It's okay to actually have a think about things and go, yeah, I didn't like that. So even just doing that activity of going, you know what, writing about Johnny and Freddie hitting each other at playgroup, that made me feel scared. That actually pulls out a lot of the fear out of feeling that hard thing. Okay, because you're like, you know what, that's okay. But now that we've done that, most of the time we feel better. Or we might need to do something else as well, and that's okay. But most of the time we feel better because of that. And that is, if you can give your kid that, you can give your child a better gift than any toy ever, basically. Strategies and emotional processing skills so they can understand how they can manage their emotions. Okay, so there you go. You can actually start to minimize that fear of feeling, and then by actually doing some of this stuff. I'm just going to have a sip. Starting to lose my voice today. Okay, so when your kid has an emotional moment, these are some really, really useful strategies. You can write them down if you want, whatever. Again, this is being recorded and I'm going to put up a limited time replay. Okay, so there you go. When your child has an emotional moment, you can say, it's okay to feel bad. I know, I do too sometimes. I do too sometimes. It wasn't really read properly. That might be disappointment. Disappointment's challenging to deal with. Something like feeling angry makes your tummy go all squiggly, doesn't it? Or that might be feeling nervous. You know, what does your tummy feel like right now? When I'm angry, my tummy feels like lava. Or, you know, adding something like that in. Everyone feels lonely sometimes. Maybe we could try this. Okay, can you see how it's connection-based and it's love-based and it's actually empathetic? It's not telling the child how to do things or what they should be feeling. And another one that's really, really great is using another adult that they love, like Pa, I wonder what Pa does when he feels like this. It makes it normal. So using when and other people as a discussion point makes emotion seem normal and real to the child. So it's just normal. It's okay. Pa gets angry too. That's okay, or whatever. And also the fact that everybody needs to work this out. This is not a kid thing. This is not just something kids work out. Adults have to work it out too. So you are regularly, daily, probably even hourly, working out emotional stuff too. It's not something that they can't do just because they're a small child. It's something they can learn, and it's something they can learn to get better at, but it's not actually just them going through it. And anyone who's been through anything knows the power of knowing that they're not alone in any of this stuff. Okay, so there you go. Number 5, we're up to. So we need to know our own emotional indicators. This is actually emotional intelligence. We talked about it a little bit before, not only to see how we are feeling, but why. To understand what has caused this feeling and to identify strategies or practices that help us. Okay, so knowing about emotional indicators. Okay, I mentioned before about my feelings of anger when my kids are all ask for things at once and overwhelm. Emotional intelligence is, again, being able to stand back from that and to go, you know what, my emotions really got the better of me. And hang on, come to think of it, they usually get the better of me in that situation. We actually need to know what our emotional indicators are and go, wow, that is when I get super emotional. Why is that? Okay, so one, for instance, for me was a few years ago, I started listening to we were listening to this kids CD or something, and it had a song on there that my dad used to sing when I was a little kid. My dad used to sing all the time, like me, but oh my goodness, I was so struck by it. I was just like crying in the kitchen and this sort of thing. I'm like, oh, whoa, what is going on? And I actually feel like it was quite a big part of me dealing with some stuff from when I was a kid, and because I was suddenly really sad that I wasn't there anymore, which is ridiculous because I was in here in the kitchen with my own beautiful family and wanting to be here. But my emotional indicator, that was an indication to me that that was something that I was working through. I'm like, why am I getting emotional about this song? And it happens to me sometimes with other songs. I hear one from my childhood, I'm like, wow, I'm straight back there. I really feel sad that I'm not a kid anymore, which is a bit ridiculous. Those sorts of things, that to me was an emotional indicator that there was some stuff going on. There was some healing going on basically in that area. And yeah, and things like the overwhelm. Okay, that's an indication that there's something going on emotionally here. What's actually going on? Like, it's just, for me, it raises a big question mark and makes me go, what's actually going on here? Why am I getting emotional? It's the same for our children. Okay, so if our kids are getting emotional about something, there's something else going on behind it. They're not getting emotional, mostly. They're not getting emotional to be manipulative, especially at 3. They're not getting emotional to, try and get their own way. They can be if you always give them their own way when they're getting emotional. Yep, they can learn to do that, but that's a learned behavior. Okay, so feeling emotional is just a really big indication that there's something going on. Okay, they're tired, any of those other things, lots and lots of other things going on. So we need to teach our kids how to manage this stuff and how to start to see this stuff for themselves. Because then you can actually, again, implement strategies to help yourself not be in that space or not react like that. Okay, it takes a while to learn, it takes a while to implement, it takes a while to reassess it, but little by little we have progress as we move forward with it. And this is the sort of stuff, again, we want to be teaching our kids. In case you didn't know, excuse my voice, in case you didn't know, we are the biggest example to our child, and that is not to create guilt, that's not to create judgment, but we can actually do better. If you're feeling like you aren't being the most best emotional example to your kids, you can do better if you work on it. Okay, it is actually something we can get better at. It's something we can learn more about. It's something we can learn how to implement. But most of all, it's something we can help our kids learn how to implement. It's so important. Okay, it's just incredibly important. Okay, so excuse me, moving my screen a bit. How can you start teaching this to your small child? First of all, they need emotionally intelligent parents, which you guys obviously want to be and probably are. Your kids need you to help them learn this stuff. Okay, how can you start teaching it? They need you to help them learn. And this is my program called the Emotionally Equipped Child. The reason for this program, I designed this program to meet the needs of parents who find their kids' emotions really hard to deal with, overwhelming, confusing, and they want to teach their kids, but they just don't know how to manage their emotions. They just don't know how to teach their children how to manage their emotions, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, it's all about how to help the kids learn, but it's about giving the parents an understanding, a bit like this webinar, but it runs for 4 weeks. Okay, it's about giving the parents an understanding and lots of practical tools and activities to do with their kids that will help them actually teach their children things. Okay, this program is perfect for you if you would like more understanding about how you can help your kid to learn emotions, as well as how you can feel less guilty, angry, or unsure about what to do, because that's what you feel like when you don't know how to manage your kids' emotions. You can feel, oh, I don't know what to do with this, don't know what to do with this. Am I doing the right thing? Did I let them get off too lightly? Or maybe did I not talk to them the right way? Did I make them feel belittled instead of loved? What happened? Where's the connection? All those things, you can feel less of that by learning more about this stuff. It's also perfect for you if you would like to have more strategies, ideas, and knowledge about you and your child's emotions. If you want to get better at helping your child learn about their emotions, how they make them feel, and how to recognize them. Like I'm talking, we can do this with 3-year-olds, guys. 3-year-olds, their program's aimed at parents of 3 to 6-year-olds. It's all about helping them have emotional intelligence, how to recognize when they're feeling angry, how to connect the dots there, how their emotions make them literally feel. When I say that, how they make them feel. Yep, lava tummy. You might see red in your brain. You might feel like shaking. You might feel like shouting, stomping, all those things. This is about teaching our kids how they feel and how to recognize that. If you want to get better at helping your kid understanding more yourself about how little kids work a bit more, so you have more insight about how they can understand their big feelings. If you want to get better at helping your child manage their anger, sadness, and fear with more confidence yourself, so you're better at managing them with it, and really feel like you know what to say and how to manage this well for the best of your child and family. Okay, so this is one of the things that people have loved in the program, is that I literally write scripts on what they can ask their kids in the activities. We literally have scripts, and I did not expect people to be so impressed with those, but they're like, oh my gosh, the scripts are so helpful, because I then know what to say to my kid. I know how to start teasing out the story we've read or the activity we've done in the best way for my child. And that, that's one of my superpowers, I suppose, is helping with teaching, because I am a teacher. The official goals are that you can identify your kid's emotional feeling. You can identify strategies to help. You can implement those strategies, and the child learns some basics about what emotions look, sound, and feel like. Okay, so it's mostly about the parent, but there are some activities. It's activities through the Emotionally Equipped Child. There are activities for the kids to do with you as well, which are they're specifically focused on teaching those things to kids. I've had people go through this program, and Jessie said, you gave me so much confidence in myself. I've been so much calmer with the kids, and it really was worth every single penny. Now, how's that for a really flattering review? I was so happy with that. I'm like, wow, that's what I want to hear with programs like this. This is what I want to hear, because I want parents to really feel like it was worth it and feel like they've got more confidence and feel so much calmer. That is literally the shining review right there. Let's just remember, emotions are just the advertisement for the thinking and processing going on underneath. Okay, so understanding where your kids are at. These emotions are actually just signposts saying help, 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 help. This is what's going on. I've got an emotion because there's something else going on under here, tugging and pulling me, and I need you, mum or dad, to help me work out what that is. Last couple of bits of info about the Emotionally Equipped Child. It is a 4-module online group coaching program. It's run through a Facebook group. Okay, 4-module meaning 4 weeks. There's a few different bits in each module. It's for parents of 2 to 6-year-olds. I did say 3 to 6, but 2 to 6-year-olds is great. Over 4 weeks, you get 4 parent info videos, 4 child activity videos, and 4 4 group coaching sessions. The group coaching sessions are amazing. I was so impressed. Like, I started this when I first started coaching, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. It was amazing, because the parents were asking me questions. I could answer the questions, and I could help them over the 4 weeks. Really, we could connect back in together and go, oh, how did that go with this? Oh, that worked really well. Cool. Okay, that didn't work so well. What will we try? So it was a really, really great continuity of coaching and that sort of support that people wanted, which was amazing. And that's what I really, really want to provide for parents in this program. And the bonus is you get private support in the Facebook group. So if you chuck a question in there, I'll be answering it to the best of my ability. Maybe not at 2 a.m, but I'll be answering it the best that I can, okay, for you guys, because in the private Facebook group, that's where you want to be asking it in as part of the course. That's what I'm there for. I'm there to basically answer your questions and to help you be the best you can be and learn as much as you can and implement as much as you can with your kids while you're part of this 4-week course. Remember, higher emotional intelligence and greater parental understanding of how to respond provides the child with the opportunity for better relationships, better connections, reactions, understandings, grades, better friendships and social interaction, and better life as a result of those things. Okay, let's just remember how much difference it makes being an emotionally intelligent person and starting your kid off in a really, really effective way. So, what is a course worth? Well, let's get down to the crux of the matter. The course content alone is worth $127. The group coaching sessions alone, the 4 of them, are worth $196. The Facebook group membership that I haven't even launched yet fully, but when I do launch it, it's going to be $40 monthly. Okay, so the total value is $363 for this course, okay, for a month course, but you're actually don't have to pay that, okay? So get ready. The total value is $363, but your own ability to connect with and understand your child more effectively as they grow is priceless. Let's not pretend that this is just words on a screen. Let's not pretend that we are just doing this just to build our knowledge. No, you're doing it so you can actively walk away and have the skills, the tools, and everything you need to actually build relationship with your child and help them to manage their emotions. And if they can manage their emotions, they can do a lot of other things in life. They can focus on other things. They can go, okay, I'm going to get along better with my spouse because I can see that I get angry every time I say that. I'm going to learn how to bite my tongue when I can do. I'm going to learn how to express myself more effectively because every time I use this, someone else gets angry. They can understand their emotions a lot better and other people's as well. That is priceless. If you are a wife or a partner who either gets angry or has a partner who gets angry themselves, you will know how important it is that our kids learn to connect and to express themselves, process. You will know how important that is. It is so important. Okay, and it starts at this young age. Okay, it is amazingly just so important. Anyway, there's another review here. I would highly recommend working with Miranda. I completed her online 4-week online partnering course, and it was so valuable to me. She's a great communicator, fun and engaging, and helped me with great practical strategies. Thank you so much, Miranda, for helping me learn more about my child and myself as a parent. Okay, and that's from Beck, I think. Yep. A couple of different Rebeccas did my program last time. It was really funny. So, okay, so how much is actually going to cost? Okay, so we said it's $363 value. A full bundle cost of this program is just $147, okay, for the full 4 weeks, for all of the perks in there, for all of those things that I mentioned before, group coaching, the 4 parent videos and the 4 child videos, as well as there are different PDFs that I upload, and there's being part of the Facebook group. Okay, so it's quite a really good value, actually. So the full cost is $147. You can start feeling confident that you have effective tools to start teaching your kid how to manage their emotions by understanding them yourself, basically. Okay, so there you go. It has a ripple effect on a child's life. I think we've talked about that. How can you enroll? Okay, so if you would like to enroll, I'm going to be sending a link out anyway for anyone who's interested. But if you would like to, you can jump on in the chat now, and I'm just about to pop a link in there in just a second. Okay, I'm just going to be 2 seconds while I grab that link. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. I'll just grab that link right now, and you can check it all out. You are under no obligation, but if you would like to, it's a really, really good thing to be able to do. Here we go. I'll just pop it in the chat if you're interested. Yeah, I see that there, Karen. You always have good intentions. I feel like, yeah, it is really, really hard to keep up. I'm just answering your comment there. It is really, really hard to keep up with emotional learning stuff because you've got other stuff going on, and there's I just know there's always so much practicality stuff going on that sometimes you just feel like you're literally just keeping everyone moving. Okay, but the emotional learning stuff is really, really hard to get practical on, and that's one of the reasons why I created this, because, well, for starters, you get a plumber in, if you need your stuff fixed in your house, you get someone else to come in and do it. Okay, I can't come in and be a parent to your children, but I can actually help people with learning how to be a parent to their child. Okay, or not how to be a parent, but learning how to bring those emotional strategies to their kids. Okay, because again, that's what I'm specializing in. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so there you go. That's just what I'm thinking, but I'm running out of my voice now. But I just wanted to say as well, thank you so much. I hope you guys got some really great information out of that webinar. I hope you liked my 5 different tips, okay, because they are just, even itself, I've had people say that webinar was amazing. So I really, really hope that you guys got some stuff out of it. I hope that you've got something you can walk away with. I hope you've got a different understanding or an aha moment. I'd love to hear about it. If you want to send me a message on Facebook, or you can pop it in the chat if you want to. If you've got an aha moment to do with it, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, feel free, if you want to find out more, if you click on that link, you're not immediately buying. You can go and read more about the group coaching program if you would like to. Okay, the link is there right now. If you are watching this on a replay, you will have it in the email that it's coming. No, it's not in the email. It's going to be on the page that you go to watch the webinar. So it'll be like underneath here or up there. Okay, if you would like to find out more about it, feel free to email me, check me out on Facebook, whatever you want to do. I'd love to answer whatever questions you have. Basically, that is about all we have on this webinar, which is really great for my voice because I'm running out of it. But if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in there, and I might just hang around here for 5 minutes and I'll answer them for you. Okay, so if you've got any big questions, yeah, if you're going, that's great. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Okay, otherwise I'll just hang around for anyone who's interested. I'm just going to mute myself for a sec. Pop a question in the chat or just ask me if you want. All right, we might finish there then, and I'm just going to finish up here. Okay, so check out the link if you would like to check it out. Otherwise, I will pop it up and probably email it to you tomorrow with the replay link. Okay, so anyway, thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and I'm going to go and sit on my couch in my boots. See you later. Bye.